Governor Ron DeSantis has gotten a rockstar Oco's reception at Republican Party functions since winning re-election this month, solidifying himself as a top-tier possible presidential contender. But the Florida Republican has left some influential members of the party wanting more. He electrified the crowd at the Republican Jewish Coalition Oco's conference in Las Vegas last weekend, but arrived just before his speech and spent little time glad-handing with donors. Days earlier at the Republican Governors Association meeting in Orlando, DeSantis received a raucous standing ovation, yet he skipped a reception beforehand and the rest of the RGA Oco's events Oco despite the fact that, as the home state governor, he was the meeting Oco's unofficial host. OC when DeSantis came on, all of the young kids came up. It was like a celebrity showed up, said one person at the RGA Oco's conference. OC but he did no stick around to schmooze. The events could have been opportune moments for DeSantis. For big donors and operatives, the RGA meeting and the RJC conference were chances to scout out this potential rival to Donald Trump, just days after his resounding re-election win as governor made him the talk of the party. Instead, some were left wondering how DeSantis might compete at the national level, where so much depends on chatting up donors and fostering friendships among fellow Republicans. OC does he need the RGA for funding? No. Does he need it to spread acceptability for him on a national scale? Yes, one donor told CNN last week. OC I do think it matters, said one GOP operative with ties to another potential presidential candidate. OC politics is a people business. From his early days in politics, DeSantis has intentionally kept his party at Oco's distance, choosing to align with outsider movements over establishment forces. He rode into Congress during the Tea Party era, joined the House Freedom Caucus and then allied with the Trump wing of the GOP amid his ascent to the Florida governorship. Now, as some Republicans search for a new face who can usher them into a post-Trump period, they are embracing someone who has never embraced them Oco and who has often gone it alone. There are signs DeSantis is looking to break from his reputation as a loner. The governor, who avoided helping Republicans outside Florida during most of his first term, crisscrossed the country in the months before the midterms for GOP candidates in tough battlegrounds and cut endorsement messages for a handful of others. DeSantis also held a summit this summer for his top donors and favored conservative media influencers to hobnob with some Republican governors and select candidates in Fort Lauderdale. Among the attendees were Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Oco's now the governor-elect of Arkansas, Tennessee Governor Bill Lee, former Maine Governor Paul LePage and Nevada Senate candidate Adam Laxalt. One RGA donor, Bobby Kilberg, acknowledged that DeSantis had not always presented himself as a team player but told CNN that his speech in Orlando at the RGA meeting last week struck a much more OC inclusive tone that acknowledged the work of other parts of the party apparatus. OC I think that is a change to his prior approach to his relationship with other governors, where Idaho's mostly been Osai Iocom the center of attention, Kilberg told CNN the day after his remarks. OC I think last night was a welcome departure from that, and I think the governors took notice. And DeSantis allies dismissed the idea that GOP donors are unsure about the governor. OC he is all work, all the time, he is about getting things done and not glad-handing donors. But donors have flocked to him anyway, checkbooks open, just because of what he has done as governor, said Nick Iarossi, a DeSantis fundraiser who attended the RGA conference. OC no one seems to care whether he wants to stay at a reception and shake hands. They care more about what he does as governor to improve their lives on a day-to-day basis. But other would-be allies have instead noticed how DeSantis did little to stick up for some of his fellow Republican governors in their own re-election fights this year, including Georgia Governor Brian Kemp Oco, who had a primary challenger backed by Trump Oco, and Ohio Governor Mike DeWine. OC he doesn't have great relationships with the other governors, said a second GOP operative. Multiple strategists point to his lack of participation with the RGA, a donor-driven organization that helps elect Republican chief executives across the country. Last week Oco's RGA meeting is just the second DeSantis has attended since being elected governor, after making a brief appearance at the 2019 meeting in Boca Raton, Florida. OC Pound he came in for one speech and left, said the first Republican operative. OC Pound did no cot mingle, did no cot glad hand, and a lot of people had no cot met him at that point. Nor does he have particularly strong friendships with the GOP governors, an otherwise chummy bunch. During a panel in Orlando to discuss the party OCO's future, New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu gloated about the collaboration between Republican governors and how they share policy ideas and expertise. But in a conversation later with CNN, Sununu acknowledged he did no cot have that kind of relationship with DeSantis. Asked about DeSantis' so-called lack of participation at RGA functions, Sununu responded, "OC Pound everyone engages at their own level, in their own way." And former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, who remains a fixture at RGA events, told the Ruthless podcast earlier this year that he does not know DeSantis well. "OC Pound I don't think Ron hangs out with anybody, from what I can tell. You know, like, when I come at the RGA meetings, Ron goes pretty much to himself with his entourage," said Christie, who is also a potential 2024 presidential candidate. "OC Pound I don't see him hanging with the other governors." Former colleagues of DeSantis in the House of Representatives said the 44-year-old was never much for camaraderie. "OC Pound he kept to himself a bit in the House," said Ryan Costello, the former Pennsylvania congressman who served alongside DeSantis. "OC Pound he had friends, he had allies, but he was not the gregarious backslapper that some politicians are always characterized as being." A decade ago, in a crowded Republican primary for a Jacksonville area U.S. House seat, DeSantis ran as a candidate offering OC Pound bold conservative colors, not pale establishment pastels. "OC Pound too many of them have been really co-opted by the establishment system in Washington," DeSantis said of Republicans in an interview with a local television station. "OC Pound I think IOCOM somebody who's coming as an outsider. IOCOM looking to change the system." Once inside, DeSantis earned a reputation as OC Pound a bit of an odd duck, said former Representative David Jolly, an ex-Republican who served alongside DeSantis in the Florida delegation. DeSantis helped found the House Freedom Caucus, a group of conservatives who led the shutdown of the federal government over the funding of Obamacare and helped push House Speaker John Boehner into retirement. In 2018, DeSantis took on the establishment favorite, then State Agriculture Commissioner Adam Putnam, for the Republican nomination for governor. DeSantis characterized Putnam as a creature of the Tallahassee swamp and an OC Pound errand boy for special interests. Boosted by a Trump endorsement, DeSantis easily vanquished Putnam and went on to win the general election. Throughout his first term, DeSantis tried to strike a balance between competent administration of government in Florida and engaging in conservative culture war skirmishes that endeared him to base voters nationally. On issues ranging from the COVID-19 pandemic response to school curriculum to illegal immigration, DeSantis took on liberal pieties, carefully casting himself as a Trump-like culture warrior, only smarter and more effective. Aided by a close relationship with Fox News, DeSantis began to assume the mantle of Trump's successor in the wake of the presidential's re-election defeat in 2020. Notably, DeSantis helped campaign for many of the troubled candidates selected by Trump in 2022: Arizona GOP gubernatorial nominee Kari Lake and Senate nominee Blake Masters, Pennsylvania gubernatorial nominee Doug Mastriano and Ohio Senate nominee J.D. Vance, but not incumbent Republican governors like DeWine, Kemp and Sununu, all of whom found themselves crosswise with Trump at some point. At a March gathering of 2020 election skeptics in Orlando, DeSantis bemoaned that OC Pound so many of these Republicans would not stand up and actually do anything during the Obama administration. At a rally in Kansas this fall, he called out Republican governors who OC Pound have caved to corporate pressure. "OC Pound even some weak Republicans attacked me during the pandemic," DeSantis told his supporters on the eve of his re-election. But after DeSantis won re-election by 19 points, establishment Republicans began to signal their acceptance of him as a leading party figure who could depose Trump. Jeb Bush, the former Florida governor who lost to Trump in the 2016 primary, tweeted his congratulations to DeSantis, adding that he has OC done a very fine job as governor of the state I love. And former House Speaker Paul Ryan, speaking to a Wisconsin TV station following the election, made sure to name-check DeSantis as he called for the party to move on from Trump. OC Ron got re-elected, Ryan said. OC IOCOM very happy to see that. But if the GOP establishment seems to be warming up to DeSantis, it remains to be seen whether the Florida governor will need to reciprocate if he runs for president. OC I don't think DeSantis has ever shown that he can be influenced, Jolly said. OC part of his shtick is he does it his own way. Jamie Gangle contributed to this report.